Hello and welcome to Outagamie County Recycling and Solid Waste. Today I'm going to take you on a virtual tour of the Tri-County Recycling Facility so you can see what happens to your recyclables once they arrive at our facility. The Tri-County Recycling Facility is unique because it's a partnership between Brown, Outagamie, and Winnebago Counties that work together to help people recycle right. Throughout the virtual tour, you're going to meet several of our Outagamie County characters that are going to teach you some important recycling do's and don'ts of the Tri-County Recycling Facility. So let's get started. Alright, we are at the start of the Tri-County Recycling Facility. We are about to walk onto what we call a tip floor, which is where all of our recycling trucks dump their recyclable materials. So this is where your recycling goes when you put it in your recycling cart. Every day we get around 800,000 pounds of recycling dumped on this tip floor. That is how much 23 empty recycling trucks weigh, so that's a lot of recycling we have to process. Once the materials are dumped on the tip floor, our loader operator scoops up these materials and puts them in this big green metering bin. This big green piece of equipment measures how much material we run through our facility on a daily basis. The materials then ride up this blue conveyor belt into what we call the Presort Room, and that's where we're going to meet our first character, Filthy Film.
Hey, Filthy Film here reminding you, don't be a drag! Dump out your bag!
Thank you for that message, Filthy Film. You will be seeing him throughout our tour today. Okay, so underneath the Presort Room, there are conveyor belts and trash chutes where our workers dispose of any oversized and unacceptable materials that they find come on the conveyor belt. These type of materials can be anything from large pieces of plastic, like 5-gallon buckets or kitty litter buckets, pieces of scrap metal, or bagged recycling or plastic film. Those all get disposed of here before they enter our equipment. Alright, now it's time to go inside.
Hey, Filthy Film here reminding you, don't be a drag! Dump out your bag! Dump out your bag!
Alright, thanks Film for that message. We will be sure to dump out our plastic bags. Alright, now we are in the Presort Room, which is the first line of defense for the Tri-County Recycling Facility. As you can see on this conveyor belt, we get all sorts of materials coming into our facility. There are usually 2 to 4 workers in this room at all time doing their best to pull off unacceptable materials to keep our equipment safe. As you can see that worker in the back pulling apart a plastic bag. Usually they don't take time to do this because the belt moves so quickly and we have so many recyclables that they can't possibly get to every plastic bag. So to keep our equipment safe, they are advised to pull off those plastic bags, films, and wraps to keep our equipment safe. Our other workers on this line look to pull off pieces of scrap metal, which they put in those bunkers there. And then they look to pull off any rigid plastics or anything large like that water jug. Oops. Maybe he'll get it next time. Alright, once these recyclable materials leave the Presort Room, they ride on this conveyor belt over to our line of disc screen separators. Now this piece of equipment might look like a shredder, but it is not. It is used to separate 2-dimensional objects like pieces of cardboard and paper from 3-dimensional objects like water bottles, laundry detergent bottles, and milk jugs.
Hey, Filthy Film here, remember, don't be a drag! Dump out your bag, otherwise it gets caught right in that machine.
And that's why it's super important to keep plastic bags out of your recycling cart. And we're moving right along to our next set of disc screen separators, which are used to sort paper products. And on that back belt, you'll see our cardboard line that rides along the conveyor belt there and into a bunker, which we'll show you in just a little bit. Alright, we're going to keep walking down this line here so we can get to our glass house, which is where all of our glass fines end up. Any small materials that go through the Tri-County Recycling Facility end up on that conveyor belt there, and they drop into what's called a glass shaker. As you can see, there's a lot of shredded paper on this belt, which is not good, so we're going to have Filthy Film explain why we do not want your shredded paper in your recycling cart.
So the reason we don't want your shredded paper is when it gets to our glass shaker here, you can see as it falls on here, it jams up the holes that our glass fines are supposed to fall through, so it contaminates our clean glass. and it plugs up the shaker as it goes down, especially when it's wet. We have to come out here every hour and clean this off so it operates correctly.
Sounds good, Filthy Film. Alright, and anything that's not our clean glass ends up in here. This is usually where plastic straws and plastic cutlery goes, so keep that out of your recycling. Okay, time to go back in the facility. Over here you'll see the belt to our polishing screen, which we will go visit later. In the meantime, we're going to go check out our paper post-sort lines. All of our paper products end up on these 3 conveyor belts where our hand sorting staff works through to pull off any materials that are not paper, like flattened aluminum cans or flattened plastic bottles. So as the paper products ride down that conveyor belt, they drop onto another one and fall into a giant bunker. And if you remember from earlier in the tour, that is the first disc screen separator that separates our cardboard. And now you're going to get a lesson from Hey It's Jose and Filthy Film about how to recycle cardboard.
Hey, it's Jose. Remember the flat tube buses. Acuérdense de apachurrar sus cajas. Así. Remember de cut your cardboard 2 feet for 2 feet. Acuérdense de cortar su cartón 2 pies por 2 pies. Oh my god, Toss. What about this?
Oh!
Too big?
No bueno!
No bueno.
And remember, the more you know,
Y acuérdense, lo más tú sabes,
the smarter you'll throw.
más inteligentes tú avientas.
Now that Hey It's Jose and Filthy Film taught you how to recycle your cardboard and your cardboard boxes correctly, let's take some time to talk about paper products. Many different materials end up in our mixed paper lines, so our sorting staff works very hard to make sure they pull off anything that's not paper. So we're gonna have Hey It's Jose and Filthy Film come back and teach you another lesson.
Hey, it's Jose. Color box, el recycle o not. Libros de dibujar, el reciclaje o no.
Recyclable?
Sí! Pet food bags. It's not recycle or recycle?
Recyclable?
No! Milk cartons, recycle o no recycle. Cartones de leche, reciclaje o no reciclaje.
Garbage? Basura?
No basura.
No basura. Reciclaje?
Sí, señor.
Hey!
Newspaper, periódico, reciclaje o no reciclaje.
Recyclable.
Yes! Paper bags, recycle o no recycle. Bolsas de cartón, reciclaje o no reciclaje.
Basura. Garbage.
No, el reciclaje. And finally, wrapping paper, reciclaje o no reciclaje. Papel para regalos, ¿se recicla o no se recicla?
It's garbage. Basura.
Yeah!
The more you know,
Lo más tú sabes,
the smarter you'll throw.
más inteligente tú lo avientas.
So I don't know about you guys, but I think Hey It's Jose and Filthy Film should really start teaching dance lessons while they teach recycling lessons too. Anyway, so now we are on to our container sort line. This is where aluminum, plastic, steel, and tin materials end up. So as they ride along this conveyor belt, our hand sorters look to pull off any paper products and they throw it against that metal wall right there. They are also looking to remove any oversized materials and electronics. So as we walk further down this line, you will notice this big red machine. This is our overbelt magnet. It pulls off any pieces of metal that are magnetic, which are also called ferrous metals. If you look close enough, you can see those materials shoot off the belt and get picked up by the belt as it rotates around. Once these magnetic pieces of metal are picked up by the magnet, they are transported over to a bunker that holds all of our steel materials. Alright, it's time to talk about plastics. So, if you've ever looked underneath your plastic water bottles or your milk jugs, you will notice there is a number inside of a triangle. The plastic we're going to talk about right now is plastic number 2, which is called HDPE. This type of plastic we separate into 2 different categories. One is naturals, which are materials like milk jugs, and the other is colored, which are materials like laundry detergent bottles. Now it's time to hear from Dan the Loaderman and Filthy Film to learn how to properly dispose of plastic number 2s.
Hey, Dan the Loaderman here. Did you know, Filthy Film, that stuffed animals don't go in the recycling?
I did not know that. Thank you. And don't forget, with your plastic number 2s, look for the number 2, take the lid off, rinse it out, dump them out, cap back on, and into the recycling. Woo! Same thing goes for your colored number 2 as well. Same thing. Woo! Oh, here's the wrong one. Hey! Put your lid back on.
Are you learning a lot from Filthy Film? Next on our stop is our eddy current machine, which is what we use to separate aluminum cans. Remember how we mentioned earlier that ferrous metals are magnetic? Well, aluminum cans are non-ferrous metals, which means they are not magnetic. So this eddy current machine is designed specifically to separate non-ferrous, non-magnetic metals. If you look close enough, you'll notice the aluminum cans jumping over that metal divider. That's because the eddy current machine creates a magnetic field that forces the materials to do that. Okay, do you remember when we talked about the different numbers on plastic bottles and containers? Well, now we are going to talk about plastic number 1, which is what we call PET. This machine we're looking at right here is our optical sorter. Our optical sorter is used to separate PET, so plastic number 1, which are materials like plastic water bottles and peanut butter jars. So now we are looking inside of the optical sorter. You will notice a beam of light at the bottom of the machine, which detects what type of material is going over the belt. If it notices that it's plastic number 1, a puff of air is shot up at the material and it shoots over that metal divider. Materials that are not plastic number 1 fall in front of the divider onto another belt, and the PET, or plastic number 1, travels onto another conveyor belt where our sorters separate anything that is not plastic number 1. Alright, it's time for another lesson with Dan the Loaderman and Filthy Film.
I'm Dan the Loaderman.
I'm Filthy Film. And remember, dump out the liquids, all the way out, caps back on, and then you're good to go. Woo! Hey!
And the last stop in our recycling operations is a residual discharge belt. This is our last chance to pull off any recyclable materials that got missed along the way, and the rest of the materials get sent to the landfill. We only send 8% of the total materials we receive at this facility to the landfill, which is great because other facilities of our size send a much higher rate. And that was the end of our recycling sorting operations, so now we are going to take you through what happens once the materials make it through that process. We have 2 balers at the Tri-County Recycling Facility. One is used for containers, and the other is used for our paper and cardboard. So this is our container baler used for plastic, aluminum, steel, and tin materials. A baler is used to make what looks like giant blocks of our materials. These stacks right here are natural HDPE. These bales weigh around 1,200 pounds each, and on a weekly basis we ship between 33 and 66 bales to our local buyers. This next set of bales are our PET plastic, so plastic number 1. These bales also weigh around 1,200 pounds, and on a weekly basis we ship around 114 bales to our local buyers. And now we're walking up to our mixed paper bales. These are our heaviest bales, weighing at 2,350 pounds each. We ship a lot of mixed paper out on a daily basis. Every day we ship around 7 trailers, or around 133 bales of mixed paper to paper factories in northeast Wisconsin. And now we're walking up to the aluminum bales. Our aluminum bales weigh around 800 pounds each, and on a weekly basis, we ship out around 54 aluminum bales to our local buyers. All of the semi-trucks that come to pick up materials come in through those doors, and our forklift operators load them up with the appropriate materials. And the last place to check out is our paper baler. Just have to look out for traffic. Nice. And carrying along, these are our bunkers for mixed paper. We have 2 for those, and the one on the far end is for old corrugated cardboard that is currently closed. So when they open up those bunkers, it rides up on the conveyor belt into our paper baler. And you'll notice along the wall are our cardboard bales. Those weigh around 2,200 pounds, and per day we send out 84 bales to local paper mills. And now it's time to check out our plastic hopper. Remember, don't be a drag, dump out those bags. And now we're gonna finish up our tour by a little trip outside. And this big blue machine is our trash compactor. We have one that comes out of the Presort Room and one that comes off of that residual discharge belt we talked about earlier. A trash compactor is used to squish all the garbage that comes out of the Tri-County recycling facility. Everything that ends up in here goes to the landfill.
Hey, Filthy Film here again. Reminding you, don't be a drag, dump out your bag. Otherwise it ends up right in here and it goes straight to the landfill.